Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Terry Warner, and I'm the Positive Support Consultant Supervisor for the Central Region. I work for the Division of Developmental Disabilities. We're so appreciative that you are joining us today for Tools for Everyone workshop. This is a 2-hour presentation today, and like Kat stated, we do want you to participate through our chat channel. We have a couple interactive hands-on activities that we will be doing throughout the training today. So just a little bit about myself. I've been working for the division for over 20 years. I've been training tools of choice for, since 2012. I do feel like this training has helped me in my personal life, my professional life. It's really helped me improve my relationships with my peers, with my children, my grandchildren, those I supervise. So it is a universal tool that I have found just has really made an impact on my life for the better. I wish I would have known about this training when I was raising my children. So I hope you enjoy today. And with that said, we will go ahead and get started. So next slide. Okay, so Chad already mentioned the chat box. And so if you, during your participation today, the chat box is on the right-hand corner of your screen. And you will be putting in your information in chat where it says to everyone. If you guys want to go ahead and give that a try, you can. You can go ahead and see if you can find the chat function and say hi to me. While you're doing that, if you will, go ahead and grab some paper for notes and take as much notes as you possibly can because we do want you to use the material in your own lives. So if you find something that you find useful, so take those notes. Okay. Good morning, everyone. All right. Okay, so next slide. So today, what we will be doing today is we are going to be learning about what is positive behavior supports. It is a universal strategy overview. We'll also be talking about fundamental facts of behavior, how to categorize behavior into 4 types, and how that helps us target those desirable behaviors that we want individuals to learn and be able to demonstrate to improve their quality of life. We'll talk about what is coercion and punishment. We will also talk about ways in which we can try and minimize the times in which we are coercive. I'm going to talk about 10 examples of coercion. We have many, many more types of coercion out there, but I'll just spend time talking about 10 right now. Most importantly, we will be talking about how to improve our interactions with others and how to improve behaviors. So that's what's going on for today. Next slide. Okay, so positive behavior support. So what is this? What is Tools of Choice? So Tools of Choice is a set of research-based strategies used to increase quality of life, decrease problem behaviors by teaching new skills, and making changes in a person's environment, okay? So that's what positive behavior supports is all about. So if you look up here and you see this triangle here, positive behavior supports uses the public health model to structure our interventions. And if you all know our public health model, if you think about fluoride in our water, that is a preventative strategy that our public health model has used for many, 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 many decades, hundreds of years. So, and that improves our oral health, it prevents cavities and things of that nature. So in our situation, the green represents a healthy population. And about 80 to 90% of our population, if they had these universal supports in place, they would have a healthy, high quality of life. Tools of Choice is one of those universal strategies that will help us have that high quality of life because it's about building relationships. It's about helping people grow and feel respected, valued, recognized for their efforts at work, at home, at school. wherever they're at, to have the tools to be able to do a good job at work, at school, and again, to feel valued as a team member. All right. We also want to have a good natural support system. We want to have an opportunity to participate in community activities. We want to have choice and opportunities. If those things were available and able to occur, most of us would have that good quality of life that we're seeking. Okay. The second tier represents a small portion of our population, about 10 to 15%, that are experiencing some risk indicators right now, and they need an extra scoop of short-term intervention. That could include maybe social skills training. It could include maybe some assistance with communication training, something similar to that. It's short-term, and it's going to help those individuals have that good quality of life that we're all looking for. The third tier represents about 3 to 5% of our population, and that tier needs intensive services. If you go back to our public health model, I forgot to mention earlier, but the second tier would be for those individuals who might need to go to a dentist because they have a cavity. It's short-term. It's a short-term intervention. The third tier, our individuals might need to go to a dentist for more extensive services. Maybe they have gum disease or something, so that's more intensive. In positive behavior support, the intensive services could be, they might need a behavior analyst, they might need to see a psychologist, they might need to, see a psychiatrist, again, or they're in crisis, so they need some crisis planning that are intensive, short term. So that's a little bit about our tiered model. Today, we're going to be focusing on our bottom tier, those universal strategies that we all need in our life to be successful. Okay, next slide. So what makes Tools of Choice approach different than some of the other trainings that you might be familiar with? Well, mainly, we focus on being kind and caring at all times. Positive behavior supports teaches us it's not only good to be kind and caring when people are happy or excited, but also during those hard times, when they're sad, when they're frustrated, when they might be very angry and upset. What if they're angry at us? Sometimes we take offense to it. We react with lecturing, arguing. We become very critical, and it really hurts our relationship with that person. Both parties feel bad. And so it just doesn't end up a feeling like a good situation in the end. But Tools of Choice teaches us during those rough moments that we've all experienced in our lives to treat each other with dignity and respect, to be kind and caring at all times, to be empathetic and encouraging, and focusing on how to help that person during those rough moments that we've all experienced in our lives. So this model is about teaching, about modeling, about focusing on desired behavior, and teaching those desired behaviors that's going to improve the quality of life for all. So it is a positive approach. Next slide. So what I'd like for you all to do is to put into chat what you think behavior is. What is behavior? What's the definition of behavior? Anyone? I think we got a quiet group. Okay, awesome, awesome. Behavior is body communication. As you all know, most our attitude, how we act, abnormal reaction, okay? The way we respond to our surroundings. These are awesome, okay? Anyone else? Okay, those are some wonderful things. So behavior is, next slide, responses that can be measured. I love that one. I love that. So behavior is anything that a person does that can be seen and counted. Okay. So again, it can be anything that a person does that can be seen and counted. So it is measurable. Okay. So I love all your responses. So way to go. Next slide. Okay, so Kat's gonna help me with this slide. So what I'd like for you guys to do is to type in chat any behaviors that come to your mind right now. Anything that you can think of that when you think of behaviors. Meltdowns, winking, head banging, and Kat's going to type these as we go forward. Spitting, crying, smiling, cursing, run away, okay? And Kat, I'm not seeing anything yet, but all right. We've got cursing, running away. Okay, here we go. They're there. Thumbs up. All right, okay. Let me make sure. I'm going to go back up and make sure it's shutting down.
Increasing them now.
I am. Thank you. I think we just missed thumbs up and we've got smiling. Can you put tantrum in there? Okay, that's a great list. That's a great list. Okay. I think we've got most of them. That's awesome. Thank you guys. High five. High five. That's a good one. All right. I think we got a good list. All right. And Kat, I don't know if you can help me here, but if not, that's okay. But if you, so I want us to look at cursing and tantrum and head banging and meltdowns. What do those have in common with one another? Meltdowns, tantrum, cursing, head banging. They're negative. Yes, they're negative, aren't they? Negative behaviors, right? So oftentimes when we think about behaviors, a lot of us think that it's negative. They're undesirable things. But behavior is anything that is seen and counted. And a lot of you put a lot of great desired behaviors, right? But in our society today, when a lot of us, when we think of behaviors, we think of those undesirable behaviors such as tantrums or cursing or hitting or stomping your feet or kicking someone. So through tools of choice, we challenge people to start recognizing and thinking of behaviors as anything seen and counted, which you know, the people we are surrounded with every single day demonstrate desired behaviors all the time. Okay. And that's what we need to channel ourselves and focus on are those desired behaviors that we see each and every day. We live in a society that when you watch the news, when you read the newspaper, when you put on social media, it's all negative. It's about things that people are doing that are not real nice, not good. And that tends to be our focus. So that's what we pay attention to. And sometimes the more attention that we give something, the more it's likely to occur in the future. So again, we're going to challenge folks to focus more on those desired behaviors, like the smiling, the high fives, the playing, the winking. Those are desired behaviors that we need to recognize and reinforce. Okay, so thank you for that, Kat. I appreciate that. And now Kat is going to hand me the ball, so you will, and I'm going to share my screen and we'll continue with the presentation. Do you all have any questions regarding behaviors while I'm getting ready to share? Okay. All right. So, so it's best to talk about behavior as specific actions rather than categories. So if you remember our list, we had some big old categories in our list. We had tantrum. And I don't know about you all, but when I think of the word tantrum, it probably means something different to me than it might mean to you all, based on your prior histories with tantrum. You know, when your children were having tantrum or your nieces or nephews, you know, everyone has a different opinion of tantrum. So that's that big old category that looks differently to somebody else. So we need to describe tantrum or being rude in specific words, using specific words. So with rude, it could mean staring at someone, cutting in line, could demonstrate being rude, saying, look at that person, what were they thinking? That's a rude verbal statement. Okay, so breaking those big old categories down into specific actions so we have a better understanding of what that means. Tantrum, it could be yelling and screaming. It could be throwing themselves on the floor and you know, throwing their hands on the floor or punching something, kicking something. Or it could just be, you know, I'm not going to do this, you know, so tantrums might look different. So breaking that down can help us better qualify what it is that we're looking for. And it's going to help us be able to measure that behavior because we want to be able to determine our behaviors, those undesired behaviors, are they decreasing as we do more teaching and modeling and reinforcing desired behaviors? Because we want to see more desired behaviors. So we want to make sure that they are decreasing over a period of time. So that's the benefit of breaking those things down. Okay. All right. Okay. So, well, let me go back up here. I think I skipped one. Okay, now I'll try. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about 4 universal categories of behavior. And so again, behavior is anything that is seen and counted. So the 2 desirable behaviors that we're going to spend some time about today are significant. And significant behaviors are behaviors that we want to increase, we want to teach, and we want to reinforce because it's going to improve the quality of life of the person. Just okay behaviors, those are behaviors that we often do, but we take for granted. We don't often reinforce them by saying anything about them because they happen a lot. It's like saying thank you or please. But when they don't happen, boy, do we notice them. You know, if I always shut the door behind me, but there's one time I forget, I might have a reputation of being irresponsible. And so they're noticed, that undesired behavior that I just demonstrated, they're noticed. But all those just okay times where I shut that door were not noticed, they weren't recognized. So in the undesirable section, we're going to look at serious and that annoying junk behavior that really gets under our skin. So serious behaviors are behaviors that are harmful to self, others, property, and against the law. Annoying, they're often our pet peeves. They happen a lot. They're annoying. They're age typical, developmentally speaking typical. They're not harmful to self or others or property. But boy, do we pay attention to those, and we react often with coercion. Okay. So remember, whether a behavior is desirable or undesirable often depends on context. Okay. And so I just kind of went over what significant and undesirable behaviors look like. So let's look at yelling. When do you think yelling would be a significant, desirable behavior? Any idea? When would yelling be significant? It would be a good thing. A ball game. Absolutely. A fire. Yes. It would be significantly desired if there's a fire to yell out for help. If you're in a ball game and you yell and you know, for your team, that's significant. That's desirable. When do you think it might just be just okay? Happens all the time. We do it a lot. When's it okay just to yell? Any idea? Any suggestions? Just okay. Surprised. Yes, very good, Vanessa. You're surprised. That's just okay behavior, right? When do you think it might be junk to yell? You know, it's annoying. It gets under our skin. We react to it when we're angry. Okay, when we're angry, yeah, it's just it's junk behavior, but we sometimes react when people are angry and they yell. We say something about it. We say, you need to stop yelling. That's inappropriate. Okay. What about Okay, yeah, kids screaming when excited. What about serious? When would yelling be serious? What do you guys think? Kids in danger? Okay, okay. Kids in danger, in pain, okay. Public disruption. So public disruption, yeah. So serious would be if I yelled, what would happen? What would be the result of me yelling? What about, guys, serious could be if I yelled at a police officer. Would that be serious? I might get in a little bit of trouble if I yelled at a police officer, right? So that would be a serious consequence that I might be facing if I yelled. Other times, you mentioned a lot of junk behaviors that, um, it wouldn't get me into serious trouble. All right. Good job, guys. Okay. So let's just kind of continue talking about those significant desirable behaviors. Again, these are behaviors that we want to increase, we want to teach, we want to provide those positive consequences, those reinforcers when they happen, because it's going to improve that quality of life of those individuals. All right. So we want to focus on those. So remember, I keep mentioning we're going to change our focus and we're going to find opportunities throughout the day, throughout the week, and catching people demonstrating these desired behaviors. So after we teach them, after we model them, we want to find those opportunities to reinforce them when they're being observed. Okay, because it's going to improve that quality of life. And just okay behaviors. Again, they're behaviors that are very common, often overlooked. We take them for granted, and until we don't notice them, until we don't do them, and then boy, do we notice them and we say something about them. Okay, so I challenge you all today. You don't have to reinforce just okay behaviors every time, but occasionally reinforce them. Say, you know what? Thank you for always demonstrating respectful behavior at the dinner table. Saying thank you and please is very respectful and kind. So I just wanted to tell you, I really appreciate that. Because sometimes if we don't recognize those just okay behaviors, they might decrease. They might not happen as frequently. Because in our world, a lot of times our focus is on those undesirable behaviors. That's getting all of our attention. So again, we want to challenge it and we want to change it to focus on our significant and just okay behaviors and limit our focus on those junk. And we have to respond to serious, of course, when they do occur. But the junk behavior, we're going to talk about a pivot tool later on that's really going to help you avoid reacting to those junk behaviors. So annoying junk behaviors. Again, these are behaviors that we spend a lot of time on, a lot of energy, and boy, do they get under our skin. And they often, because of our reactions to junk behavior, they often lead up into serious situations. So if I say to somebody, you need to stop yelling, it's so inappropriate, you just need to stop. Oh my gosh, you need to stop yelling. That person might react with anger towards me, and it might end up in a serious crisis situation because of my reaction to that junk behavior. Okay, so we need to just kind of think about that. And if you think about our list before, do you guys remember any junk behaviors that you recall from our behavior list that we had? Anything? Was a tantrum, is that a junk behavior? If they're not harming themselves or anyone else, it absolutely is. So the more we pay attention to that tantrum behavior, do you think it will occur in the future? Most likely will. Absolutely. Okay. So again, the definition of junk behavior, it's undesirable, it's annoying, it's age typical or functioning level typical, but it's not physically harmful to self or others or property, and it's not illegal. So as a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, it's typical to throw a tantrum, right? Young boys, it's difficult to laugh at fart jokes and things like that, and giggle and and make all kinds of comments about people farting. That's typical, but it's still junk, right? One of the pet peeves of mine is people when they burp at the table. I have to really concentrate and not react to that junk behavior with facial expressions, body language, or say anything about it. It's taken a lot of practice on my end because it's one of my pet peeves. And so I have to make a plan not to react. So now I want you guys to tell me, what are some common junk behaviors that you've seen that maybe in the past you have reacted to? Anyone? Eye rolling. That's a big one, Vanessa. I've done that myself. Anyone else? What about spitting? Kicking walls, talking back was one. It's something about kicking walls. I didn't get all of it, but talking back. Yeah. Whining. Whining's one. Why do I always have to do this? Why do you make me clean my floor? Stomping is one. Yes. They get under our skin, a deep sigh. Fussing. Yes. Complaining. Those are all junk behaviors that, I'm going to hopefully challenge you all after we learn a little bit about pivot to minimize our reactions to junk behavior. Don't give it the attention that it's now receiving. Okay, so those are some good lists, guys. So thank you for putting those in chat. Okay, so here are some other examples of some junk behavior. And I think somebody put something about ignoring, and we're not ignoring junk behavior. We're going to use what we call the pivot tool to address it, which is coming. So stay tuned. All right. Examples of junk behavior: cursing. Cursing is not harmful to self or others. It's not against the law. It's not hurting anybody's property, but you also have to remember context. Remember, if I curse at a police officer, that might go into serious and not junk. So when you think about some of these things, you're going to have to look at the context to see, does it shift over into another category? But most of the time, cursing is not harmful to anyone. It may be annoying, especially to some people that really hate cursing. It's one of their pet peeves, but it's just junk. Threatening, not going to work, not being respectful, slamming doors, screaming, name calling, saying mean things. That's pretty much all junk behavior under most circumstances. Okay. Not going to work, that could be a serious consequence, not getting paid and not being able to pay your bills. So again, look at context. Okay, so why do you all think people do junk behavior? Why do they curse at people? Why do they complain? Why do they slam doors? What is it? Why do people do these things? If junk behavior gets under our skin, why does it continue? Anyone? They want to get their way. Attention. Don't know how else to get frustrations out. Okay, those are all excellent. They try to annoy someone else. Manipulation. They're coming fast. I'm seeing most of them. Okay. So guys, a lot of times people do junk behavior to get a reaction from you, to get that attention. Negative attention is sometimes better than no attention at all. And again, we live in a society that focuses a lot on negative attention, that undesirable behaviors. And so, so getting attention, it could be a learned behavioral response, watching others do that junk behavior and they picked up that habit, so it becomes more habitual in nature. It's something that they've done for so long now, it's more habitual. They do it to get a reaction from you, to get what they want, to so there's all kinds of reasons, maybe to escape a task. So there's all different reasons on why people demonstrate junk behavior. So those are some good ones there. Okay. So we just kind of mentioned serious behavior. So undesirable behavior is not junk behavior when, again, the behavior causes harm to physical self, others, property, or the behavior is illegal. So some of those things that we mentioned in our behavior pool a while ago, hitting with force, that is serious. Throwing a chair, that's property damage. Banging head, so that head banging that someone mentioned earlier, that can have some serious consequences if you hit your head hard enough and long enough. So banging head with force, stealing, all of those things can have some serious consequences. So the person's safety and the safety of others is our first concern, of course. And serious behaviors are dangerous and must be interrupted or actions taken by us to make things safe for everyone involved. Okay, so that's where we look at our safety crisis plans. We look at preventing and interrupting those serious behaviors. So hopefully we minimize that the seriousness of the situation. Right here is a QR code, and I encourage you to get out your phones and take a picture of that, because we have some outstanding resources on safety crisis planning, what to do in a crisis, what that crisis cycle looks like, and how you can prevent and interrupt it from going into full-blown crisis. So that hitting, that banging your head with force is minimized and less likely to occur. Okay. But what do you do if they should happen? So so all of these resources right here can kind of help you better understand what to do in those certain circumstances. This is another great resource. Call help 988 SCAN if you want to learn more about the crisis center that you can reach out to. Send this to people that you might know that might benefit from this, because it is an excellent resource. Okay. So, so guys, these are some examples of significant behaviors, again, that we want to increase, we want to teach, we want to model, we want to reinforce. We also have some just okay behaviors that are typical behaviors that sometimes we take for granted. We also have our undesirable serious behaviors. We have a list of some junk behaviors again. So again, these are our 4 categories of behaviors. And over here are the ones that we want to spend most of our time concentrating on, reinforcing, building upon them, recognizing the efforts that people are demonstrating when they do these things. Can you all think of any other significant desirable behaviors that would be worth somebody doing that would improve their quality of life? Anyone? Dancing, absolutely. Dancing is a wonderful. It helps improve mood. It's a good physical activity. It's a shared experience sometime with someone else. So those are wonderful things that's going to improve that quality of life of that person, right? Filling out a job application is significant for some people, making that attempt to get a job. So all that can be significantly desirable. Any questions before we move on? Okay, so now we're going to talk about the fundamental facts, help us understand behavior. All right. And these are the cornerstones of positive behavior supports. So the first one is behavior is always right given the person's environment. So everyone is going through something in our world. And so what we need to kind of think about, so we're more passionate and kind. Remember, kind and caring at all times. We need to remember this one very closely, because behavior is, we need to look at a person's genetics, their physiology, their birth order, their trauma history, which trauma is huge. And in my field, the Division of Developmental Disabilities, we have a lot of individuals we work with that have had significant trauma histories, abuse, neglect, maybe a lot of moves in their lives, which have been very traumatic, which affects their behavior today. Another thing that we look at is context, the here and now. I act differently when I'm with my peers than I do at work when I'm with my work family. So context plays a role. People that are on the autism spectrum, sometimes noise, crowds, touch can have an adverse effect on how they react to certain things in their environment. So this is just very crucial for us to have more compassion and understanding, is that we have to understand a person's history and the here and now to understand why sometimes people demonstrate those behaviors that we're not for sure. Why is this happening? Why are they doing that? Okay. We would most likely do it too if we came from the same environment that they did. Okay. So this is a little hard concept to grasp and understand. But when you think about people's histories and where they came from and how they've learned or what they didn't learn, it kind of helps you with that compassion and understanding. Consequences. Consequences, when I think of consequences, I always think of something negative, but consequences are just anything that occurs after a behavior. Anything that occurs after a behavior. And it can either strengthen or weaken the behavior. And really the only way to know the effect is by what happens in the future, okay, after the behavior occurs, okay? So again, it can strengthen or weaken the outcome of the behavior in the future, or it can have no effect on it at all. So if I provide a great deal of empathy and encouragement and just listening to someone, and I'm always present, during the good times and the bad times, I'm a person that person feels connected to. They feel like they're not judged, and that I'm just a good person to help them during the good times and the bad times. It's probably going to be more likely, because I've built that relationship with that person. In the future, that person might come to me as someone that they feel safe with, they respect, and they value. Okay. Okay. So that is going to strengthen that opportunity of that person coming to me in the future. But if they have someone that is quite coercive, unkind, and mean to them, they may avoid being around that person in the future. They may escape when that person enters the room, or they may try and get even with that person in some capacity. Okay. So those are just some things to think about. Fundamental fact number 3, it takes time for changes in the environment to change behavior. I don't know about you all, but I can't tell you how many times I've tried to change my diet. I've tried to exercise 5 out of 7 days a week. I get going, I do well, but sometimes I slip back, so it takes time to change behavior. Some of our individuals, because of their learning history in the past, some of their responses are more habitual now, their reactions, they're more immediate, and they're more, likely to occur unless we change our reaction to those behaviors. So the environment has to change. We have to change our reaction. We have to be patient, be consistent, and take data. Wait a couple weeks to see if changes are occurring. So we just kind of need to remember that for any change, when we're looking at helping people learn those significant desirable behaviors by modeling, by teaching, by reinforcing those things. It's going to take time. And look for small improvements. Look for those little bitty improvements along the way and recognize them when you see them. Number 4, past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior, all things being equal. So again, remember people's past experiences. How did they typically react? If it didn't work the last time, change your strategy. Anticipate problems. Be more prepared. And that way you'll hopefully prevent those challenging situations from occurring in the future. Okay. So for instance, if I take my child or my grandchild to Walmart, and history has shown me she throws a temper tantrum to get that candy bar and soda at the end of the trip. I give in every single time. That tantrum's going to continue because it's getting her needs met. It's getting that candy bar. It's getting that soda pop. Okay. So I got to change my strategy. I got to do something different if I want that temper tantrum to decrease. So I have to change, okay, my reaction to that tantrum. So next time I go to the store, I'm going to say, okay, Jennifer, today, if you hold on to mommy's hand and we only get things on our list, and if I'll get you one candy bar at the end of the aisle. If you choose not to hold on to my card and only get the things on my list and be respectful and kind, then we won't get that candy bar. She throws a fit. I don't get the candy bar. I leave the store and we talk about it later and we do it again, another shot. The next time she listens and she gets that candy bar. But I don't give in to the tantrum. I do something different. I have her earn that candy bar. But I set up some expectations to help her be more successful. So that's what we're talking about here. Number 5, giving negative, coercive, punishing consequences typically results in more problems. It might help short term, but it's going to create long-term problems. So again, our challenge to all of you here today is to start focusing on teaching, modeling, reinforcing desired behaviors, those significant and just okay behaviors, and minimizing our attention to those undesirable behaviors as much as we possibly can, okay? And that's kind of hard because, again, we live in a very coercive society, and we have done some of these things as parents ourselves, but we're shifting gears. And positive behavior supports is very, very effective. It's evidence-based. It works, guys. It absolutely works. So we're going to do our very best to avoid those coercive techniques in the future. In the long run, behavior responds better to positive consequences. I don't know about you all, but I've had both in my life. I've had very, very coercive supervisors where I absolutely hated coming to work. I hated it. It just, it didn't make my work environment positive. But I've also had very caring, very understanding, very empathetic, and encouraging supervisors in my life. And it made my work environment very positive. And so which would I would rather be a part of? Someone that is more positive, strength focused, gave me the tools to be able to do my job at work and valued me when I was successful, reinforced my efforts. Okay. So we respond better to positive consequences as people. And we tend to go the other direction when somebody else is coercive towards us. It hurts us. It hurts our self-esteem. It hurts our relationships, and it doesn't improve that quality of life that I keep referring to. Okay, so a universal positive approach sets the foundation for all these interventions. Okay, so to effectively change behaviors, we need to always find ways to teach and pay more attention to the desirable behaviors. All right. So target behaviors, what are they? What are target behaviors? They're behaviors that we want to teach, we want to increase, or we want to replace. Because again, these behaviors are going to increase that quality of life of the person. It's going to make their world better. It's going to improve their relationships. It's going to help them have more opportunities if they're interested in employment. It's going to help them if they're interested in building connections within their community, these target desirable behaviors are going to help them with those things. That's going to make their life better. Okay. Can you think of any targeted behaviors that we might want to teach or increase with someone? Anyone? Patience, manners, absolutely, absolutely. Those are absolutely wonderful, significant, desirable behaviors. Kindness. If if we model kindness, we practice it, we reinforce those random acts of kindness with others, do you think they're going to be more likely to do it and demonstrate it themselves? Absolutely. Absolutely they are. Okay. So we have to step up our game and start modeling those behaviors we want to see more of from people instead of modeling those behaviors we don't want to see. Okay. Because oftentimes that's what we do. We model those behaviors that we don't want others to do either, you know. So we got to change up ourselves as well. We're also going to weaken and decrease those undesirable behaviors by focusing on the behaviors we want to replace. Okay. All right. So motivating desirable behaviors. So again, we're going to put more emphasis and attention and recognize those times when people are demonstrating patience. You know, Corey, you did such a great job modeling patience with your young brother this afternoon when he accidentally knocked down your fort. That required a lot of patience. So way to go on that. Thank you for that. Okay. Acknowledge it, encourage it to continue in the future, recognize it. All right. And minimize the times in which they're not always successful. Okay. Because again, that's our focus is on that junk behavior or those times in which they're not. So minimize it by not paying as much attention to it, you know, coming up with a plan to avoid reacting or overly reacting to those things. And then again, teaching those desirable, healthy behaviors that's going to improve their quality of life, looking for small improvements. Okay. So again, do not focus on undesirable or inappropriate behaviors that you want the person to stop. Focus on the desirable. So that's our challenge, guys. We've said this multiple times throughout the training. And again, it's one of the hardest things to stop because as a nation, our focus is always the other direction. So it takes a huge focus on our end to make that plan and to focus more of our energy, more of our opportunities throughout the day to focus on those desirable behaviors. Change may happen slowly or not happen at all. So look for improvement, not perfection. Above all else, just like we said in Slack, be patient because it does take time. Miracles don't happen. Oh, you know, it's not a miracle thing. We're not going to have our little wand out there and poof, you know, those undesirable behaviors are going to go away. It takes time. It takes commitment. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of recognizing those desired behaviors and taking data to see if what we're doing is improving. If not, we're going to go back and look to see what else we need to put into place to help that person be more successful. Okay. And most importantly, we got to look at ourselves. We got to change our focus. We got to change some of what we're doing to help that person be more successful. So next, we're going to talk about coercion and its effect. All right. So what is coercion? Coercion is just a way we punish, and it's to stop someone from doing something that we don't like or that we find annoying or, you know, so it's a way that we punish someone for doing something that we find unacceptable or you know it's something that we don't want the person to do, maybe we don't think it's good for them, but it can be verbal coercion, a form of put down, a show of disrespect. Coercion is often a habitual response to oftentimes we can be very coercive and we don't even realize what we are, you know, it's habitual, we've been doing it for so long. We've learned these coercive techniques from others. Now, we're all coercive in some manner, every single one of us that are here today. And I've been training tools since 2012. I'm still coercive at times, but I have over the years managed to lessen the times that I am coercive. I've recognized when I'm more likely to be coercive and with whom, and I really try and make a plan to prevent those opportunities as much as I can. And I will tell you, I've been very successful, but it hasn't totally 100% gone away. No, because I'm human. We make mistakes. We revert back to what we've done in the past. So, with that said, we'd make a plan and we try and minimize the effects of coercion. Okay. So, trying to teach people by punishing them, we have learned over the years that it affects our relationship. It makes people feel bad. It also makes us feel bad. Um, so it really does affect our relationship. And it's not teaching the behavior we want the person to demonstrate. And so with positive behavior supports, we teach the behavior, we model the behavior that we want that person to demonstrate because we know it's going to improve their quality of life. It's going to make things better for them. Okay. Where punishment is going to have the opposite effect. It's going to affect their morale, their relationship with us. It's going to make them feel worse. And it's not teaching what we want them to do. It's teaching them what we don't want them to do. Okay. So discipline used to before tools, I thought of discipline as something bad, kind of like behavior. I thought, man, that's bad. Behavior is undesirable. But discipline is just teaching. It's like a teacher. It's by modeling what you want the person to do that's going to help them. It's teaching. It's motivating the person to be interested in doing this desired behavior across different situations. So that's discipline. So it's something positive. It's something, it's good. It's going to be good for that person because it's going to improve their quality of life. All right. So these are some types of coercions that we talk about in our tools of choice class. However, there's many, many, many more types of ways in which we're all coercive as a society, as people. But we're just going to kind of focus on a couple. And you guys can kind of help me with some of these, okay? Questioning. What do you guys think about why would questioning be coercive? Any ideas? Questioning. Any thoughts? Why would you do that? Absolutely. Yes. So that was the tone of your voice, your body language, your facial expressions, questioning. It wasn't an open-ended question like, how are you doing today? But it was, why are you doing that? So that facial expression, that body language, it came across as kind of mean, right? But questioning, it could be a person might have said that to their teenage son because of out of fear. Why did you come home late? And it's almost a habitual response, but sometimes it's out of fear. Why did you do that? So it comes in a good place, but it does affect our relationship with that person. It affects the outcome of our conversation with that person, right? So how many times have I told you to do that? Or are you crazy? All right. So the effect of coercion of this type can be quite negative. All right. Okay, so arguing. How many people does it take to argue? Two, right? How many people have argued? What have you guys argued about? What are some ways in which we argue? Everyone argues, right? Everyone argues. Okay. Does it work? Is it effective? No. Does it make you and the person you're arguing with feel better afterwards? No. Or do you feel defeated? Do you feel defeated? Do you come away with that feeling positive, feeling like you have a better connection with that person? You solved the world's problems. You feel disrespected. that relationship has taken a bump in the road. Okay. So it's something that hasn't caused an improvement. It's made both parties feel just a little bit worse than what they felt before. Okay. But we've all done it. Okay. Every one of us have argued with someone in our past. But all we're saying through this presentation is realize the effect that arguing has on our relationship and try and plan an attack to prevent it from happening as frequently as it was in the past. Okay. Sarcasm, teasing. How many of us are sarcastic? Do we like to use a little sarcasm sometimes? Me? Okay. Melissa? Yeah. I like a little sarcasm every now and then. Okay. But what can be the effects of sarcasm? Saying the opposite of what you mean or make fun of someone either maliciously or playfully. It sometimes can be quite hurtful to others. You know, that little teasing that we feel is in fun may not be fun to that person. It may truly hurt them. It may make them feel just a little bit worse than before you made that sarcastic statement. You're not the brightest crayon in the box, are you? I might have been teasing, might have been in a playful manner, but that person didn't take it that way. They took offense to it and they reacted negatively towards me. Maybe they didn't say anything to me, but in their mind, they were feeling worse because of that statement. And some of the population that we work with intellectual developmental disabilities, and some of our folks, they don't understand sarcasm at all. They take those things literally. And so we got to really be careful with sarcasm. Force is another one, you know, verbal or physical, saying mean things to somebody, yelling, screaming, cursing at someone, physically being aggressive with someone, pushing, shoving, hitting, spanking. That's use of verbal or physical force, and it does hurt our relationship with that person. Not to say that as a parent, you know, I don't know about you all, but my parents very rarely, but I did get a spanking once or twice. But many more times throughout my life as a child was positive, and they focused on my strengths, and they were kind and caring most of the time. So in my bank, I had many more positive experience rather than those negative experiences with my family. But for the most part, we're not teaching the behavior we want the person to demonstrate with physical and verbal force. We may be teaching them something we don't want them to do. Threats. How many of us have threatened others? If you don't put your seatbelt on, I'm never taking you to the store again. If you don't clean your room, I'm not going to allow you to go outside and play. And then we give in. We give in. Okay. So threats. Often they're ineffective. We often give in. We threaten without following through. And again, it doesn't help the situation. It doesn't help the situation with the person. Any other ideas regarding threats? Okay. If you don't get to go to the mall, you're not going to get to go to the mall today if you don't clean your room. Parenting threats. We're all good at it. So we're just going to try and minimize those times. Instead, we're going to do more teaching. We're going to use, we don't really talk about the set expectations tool in this training. So if you're interested, come back to our Tools of Choice training in the future. You'll learn a lot about how you go about teaching and encouraging and using that earn or don't earn concept that I briefly mentioned before. Criticism. We're all very critical at times. You know, criticizing, boy, did you clean your room? It doesn't look like it. Oh my gosh, look at your room. Look at your bed. You didn't even make your bed. What were you thinking? Being very critical of somebody's work or their attempt to finish something. Have we all done that? I would say I have. I would say we all have. Okay. So those are just some things that we need to kind of make a plan to prevent and look at people's effort instead. Look at the effort. and look at why they might not be able to clean their room. Maybe it's too overwhelming. Maybe we need to break things down into simple tasks for them. So teaching those things that we want the person to do versus being critical. Despair. You say and act as if you don't know what to do. You're hopeless. Okay? Despair. You know, I thought I was your favorite staff. I bring you stuff all the time. I take you out for sodas. Why are you being mean to me today? You know, I just don't get it. Okay. Does despair help? Does it make the person feel good? Does it build that relationship between you? No, it doesn't. It kind of tears it down a little bit, right? Okay. It doesn't make either party feel good. Okay. It's not motivating somebody to do better. Lecture. Oh my goodness. How many of us do? This is mine. I don't know about you all, but I think we all have one coercive technique that we use more than another. And I'm a social worker. I tend to kind of lecture. So I've had to really watch that one and not use that one as much as I have in the past. Lecture. Trying to talk about what somebody should be doing or what's good for them, why they're not doing this. It's hard to stop. It is hard. It is so hard. But we gotta try. That's all we can do is try, make a plan, try not to fix things. Try and help people fix their own situations. Teach them how. Okay. But we are fixers in this field of ours, or some of us are, and this one's a hard one. But I always think of Charlie Brown when it comes to lecturing, you know, the teacher, wah, 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 wah. Yes, I don't know. I remember when I was growing up and my parents lectured me, I toned them out. I was looking at them. But man, I toned them out. I was like, uh-huh, uh-huh. Didn't hear a word you said. You were gone a long time ago, but okay, I get it. You don't listen. You tone them out. You block them out. You're gone. They're still talking and you're just somewhere else in your head. Okay? It doesn't teach you anything. It doesn't help the situation. Kind of makes it worse. Taking away is another one that we've all done as parents, I'm sure, in our life. Limiting access or removing things, privileges. But again, it doesn't teach them what we want. It doesn't teach them how to do those things that's going to improve their quality of life. So I'm going to go back to earn or don't earn. You know, instead of taking away, you can earn extra video time if you clean your room. If you choose not to clean your room, then you won't earn that extra video time. So I'm not taking anything away. I'm having it be earned. Okay. Versus the taking away. So I'm setting expectations to help that person understand what's expected, how to do that activity, modeling how to do that activity successfully, and I'm reinforcing it when it's done. But if they don't do it, they're just not getting it. It's something they're earning. This one can be very, very harmful and hurtful. Talking about a person's bad behavior with the person present. We see this sometimes. We as parents have done it. I know my husband and I have done it in the past, and the person feels horrible. The person, you know, my son may have had a bad day, and my husband comes home. "Oh, you won't believe what Wesley did today. Oh my gosh, he got in trouble at school again. You know, I can't believe it. Wesley's right there. Does that make Wesley feel good, or just is he sinking down? Oh my gosh, here we go again. I just went through it with mom. Now I got to go through it with dad and mom. I'm feeling horrible. It's not a good situation. I'm mad at both of them. I'm mad at myself. You know, it's just a horrible thing all the way around. And it hurts my self-esteem as Wesley. So kind of think about those times and try and minimize whenever those things are happening. So what are the effects of coercion, guys? Give me some ideas. Effects of coercion. What do I mean by avoiding? Anybody? So we're all coercive, but what can be the effect of it? So people avoid us. You know, they don't want to be around us. Yeah, people don't want to be around you. Absolutely. When you enter the room, they escape you. They go into their room and they hide out. You know, because if we're coercive in most of our conversations with somebody, they're not going to think of us as a kind and caring person. They're going to want to not be around us because of those previous times in which we were more negative and unkind and unfriendly. Okay. They may even try and get even with us in some way. All right. How do you think people might get even with us? What are some techniques they might use? Anybody? I've had people get even in ways like they'll take people's car keys. I didn't see the other one that popped up, but you know, they'll hide something of somebody's. They might put sugar in their soda drink or something. So they find little ways to get even with them. All right. They learn coercive behaviors by watching others. We all do that. We learn from watching others, especially those that are in our family that we're around a lot. So if they demonstrate coercive behaviors a lot, we're going to do it too. Okay. Oftentimes people behave less confidently when people are highly coercive towards them. And they receive a lot of attention from it. Remember, as a society, our focus is on undesirable behaviors all the time. We get a lot of attention from it. And so oftentimes those things are going to continue because of that attention aspect. So when are we typically coercive? When are you guys typically coercive? Here's a list. Do any of these resonate with you all? Can you let me know when you're most likely to be coercive? When you tend to be? Yes. Okay. Frustrated? Yes, you're frustrated. Anyone else? Mine is when I'm tired after a long day at work, I just want to come home and relax. And maybe my husband promised to cook dinner and he didn't do it. You know, I might be more coercive. I got to really make a plan to prevent from that happening because I'm tired. I was hoping to have that good meal and it didn't happen. So I've got to make a plan to prevent from lecturing, from being critical. You know, instead, I got to focus my attention on being kind and caring. Okay. So tired, hungry, had a bad day, someone was coercive towards you, you encountered one of your pet peeves. That's another one. Burping at the table's mine. So these are just some things that you might need to think about and make a plan to prevent when these things are happening in your world. So because you're going to be more likely to be coercive under these circumstances. Okay. So again, coercion produces short-term compliance. It might work short-term, but it's going to affect our long-term relationship with that person. Okay. It's going to have long-term problems. Okay, so if not coercion, what in the world do we do? What do we do? Well, that's where we have to get into our toolbox and we need to make a plan. All right. Think about what caused the behavior to begin with. What was the payoff? What was the person getting out of that behavior? Was it attention? You know, is it a learned behavioral response? You know, what's happening here? So kind of doing some digging might be helpful. Is there a desirable behavior that we want to teach and reinforce instead? Okay, so we might need to think about that. What needs to change in the environment to help that person be more successful? What do I need to do to change my reaction to the person's behavior, which is going to ultimately change the environment? So all of these questions we need to be asking ourselves and kind of thinking about. So we're going to put that plan in place and to hopefully create an opportunity to help change that and teach that significant desirable behavior that we're hoping is going to improve that quality of life of that person. Okay. All right. So what does the person need to do? What do they need to learn differently that's going to help them have more success? So what else can you do to build relationships? So building relationships is very, very crucial. Again, we're focusing as positive behavior supports teaches us being kind and caring at all times is very, very crucial. So these are the steps that we're going to ask you all to think about and to put into place when you're working on building that relationship with other people. So most of the time, what we want you all to do is when you're having a conversation with someone, focus on them, block out everything else, the social media, the phone, the TV, the computer, whatever it is, and instead move towards that person. Remain within arm's reach. If they're sitting down, sit next to them. You know, kind of lean your body in and have a conversation with them. Show that interest, show that you're caring, show that you're connected to what they're saying. Touch is also a very vital piece. We all need touch in our lives. It's a human basic emotion. So provide that handshake, that fist bump, that high five, that touch on the arm. As a parent, you know, giving your child a hug when they come home from school can be very wonderful for that child. Okay. Carrying facial expression and tone of voice. 93% of our our body language is through nonverbal mannerisms. So show that you're excited when your child comes off the bus. Show that excitement with your facial expressions, your tone, your body language, instead of being monotone. Have that relaxed body language, arms open, look attentive, look at the person. And that's how you're going to help build that connection with that person. Okay. Open-ended questions. Anybody have any idea? No? Any open-ended questions? So open-ended questions require more than a yes or no answer. Okay. And it could be, what did you do after work today? Or how are you doing with that assignment? Could you show me how to bake a cake? Okay. Open-ended questions show interest. It shows that you're interested in spending that quality time with that person. You're interested in what they're doing, what they have to say, what's going on in their world. And it's different from that questioning that we talked about before, because my body language, my facial expressions are different, my tone, I'm interested and I'm caring. All right. Empathy statements. Empathy statements are really, really powerful. And it's about saying something to that person to show that you care about them, that you're being non-judgmental. You know, you're looking at that emotion that they're feeling and you're trying to connect to it. So that active listening, you know, you seem excited today. What's going on? Or you look a little anxious, or you look like you're having a good time. Can you tell me more? You know, so connecting with that person in a non-judgmental way, you're building that relationship. You want to know about what's going on in their world. Okay, so empathy. Empathy is a wonderful tool that over the years I feel like I have improved on. Being empathetic, non-judgmental, putting my active listening ears on, and showing that caring attitude at all times. That's empathy. Okay. It's not disagreeing, it's just connecting to that person's emotion that they're feeling at the time. Using encouragement. Encouragement. So acknowledging that a person has acted or has acted in the past in a way that's going to improve their quality of life in the future. Okay, it's going to produce a desired outcome for that person. So encouraging that behavior, that desired behavior to happen in the future. So that's encouragement. You know, you worked hard, you made an A on the test. Way to go. That's exciting. That hard work and perseverance really paid off. Keep it up. Way to go. Okay. So encouraging that behavior to continue in the future because it's good for them. Again, it's increasing their quality of life. Listening is a wonderful, wonderful tool that often we don't do very well at. We often overspeak, we talk over the person, and so I encourage everyone to stop talking so much. It's not the magic words you say, it's about being present, listening, and actually hearing what the person has to say to you with an open mind. Okay. And trying not to interrupt the conversation. Another big one is we're going to try very hard not to react to that junk behavior, that whining, the complaining, maybe a little cursing, in there, or maybe overexcitable situation. We're not going to respond to it. And I'm about to teach you how. Avoid coercion, avoid that lecturing, avoid being critical, avoid sarcasm. All of those things we're going to make an attempt not to do. That's how we're going to help build our relationship with others. Okay. So empathy, again, is being able to take a perspective of another and communicate that to the other person. Okay. And that's really going to help improve your relationship with the person. It's going to help build that connection and help that person feel like, you know what, this is a person I want to have more conversations with in the future because they're kind and caring. They listen, and they're non-judgmental. They're not trying to fix me. They're not trying to solve the world's problems for me, but they always seem genuinely in the moment with me. Whatever it is I'm going through, they're there, they're present, they're kind. Okay. Empathy. I tend to use more you words with empathy. You seem, you look, it sounds like you are. Those are some empathy statements that you can put in your toolbox to try if you'd like. Okay. And again, encouragement is saying something to let the person that you believe in them. You believe in them. That's the key. You believe in them. You believe that they're capable of demonstrating that desired or just okay behavior right now and in the future. So encouraging that desired behavior to happen, to continue to happen. Also, encouragement is there. You're here to help. You're here to provide support and assistance to them. Okay. Again, I noticed that you were really patient with your little brother today when he messed up your Lego set. Thank you so much for being patient and kind. That must have been difficult, but you excelled at it. Way to go. Encouragement. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of practicing now, guys. So get ready. This is awesome, Alex. Alex just got his GED results back and he passed. Yay for Alex. He studied for hours. And you're walking down the hall and he rushes over to show you his score. Tell me what open-ended questions, empathy, and encouragement statements that you might give Alex. Somebody want to give it a whirl? Anybody? You look excited. What's going on? Awesome empathy statement. Awesome open-ended question. Very, very good, Melissa. Excellent. What might be an encouragement statement that you can use with Alex so he continues to work hard at studying the next time? Way to go. Okay. Way to go. All right. That can be kind of some reinforcement. What else? Anyone else? All your studying really paid off. Awesome. All your hard work is paying them. I'm glad to see all the hours. Boy, that's coming in. That's awesome. All the studying is paid off. Keep it up. Those are some amazing encouragement statements. Wow. That's great, Alex. Good job. Okay. I'm proud of you. That's great. That's wonderful. Keep up that hard work. It's really paid off. Your dedication, your perseverance has really paid off. It's made a difference. Keep it up. All right. Because that's going to encourage Alex to continue to study for other things in his future, because it's paid off for him, and we want to continue those efforts. We want to help him understand, man, those are good things. It's going to help improve your quality of life. Okay, another one. Coworker Carl. You're walking into the break room with your lunch. Carl smiles and says hi, and when he sees you, Carl moves some papers to let you sit down. Okay. What's an open-ended question, an empathy statement, and an encouragement that you could use with Carl? This one's a little. How are you today, Carl? Love it. Love it. That's a great open-ended question. Hello, Carl. How are you doing? Hey, Carl, what's going on? Amazing. These are all really good. Those are great open-ended questions. What's an empathy statement that you could use? Now, you might have to build on some of this context. Look at those papers. And it looks like he was pretty busy earlier. So what could you say? Empathy. What's an empathy statement? How about you seem relieved that you finished your work and you're able for your break? You seem relieved. Could that be an empathy statement? You are really working hard on all those papers. You did it. Okay. Encouragement. That was a great encouragement statement. I love it, Melissa. Okay. You look like you're ready for a break. Okay. That's empathy. All right. Good job, guys. Any other encouragement statements that you can think of? Carl, it looks like you've been busy. Glad to see you're taking breaks. Oh, I love that one, Corey. Glad to see that you're taking breaks and taking time for yourself. Encouragement, because we want to encourage Carl to take those breaks. We all need breaks in our life, right? Because if we work too hard, that sometimes, that self-care is very important, and it can affect us long term. So I love that one, Corey. That was really, really good. Okay, so we got a lot to cover in a short amount of time, so I'm going to get busy here. So what else can you do? We're going to learn the pivot tool. All right, so how does junk behavior pay off for the person? Okay, we talked a little bit about this, but junk behavior, remember, it's that annoying behavior that gets under our skin. It happens a lot. It's age typical, but boy, when we see it, oh my goodness, we react to it. And remember, it's not harmful to self or others or property. It's not against the law. So it pays off because to get the attention, it gets attention. It gets us to comfort them. It gets us to react to it. It gets us to get to to make them go away, to escape, to get you to do something for them. It's what people do. All right. So these are all things that pay off. These are why people do junk behavior. A lot of times it's attention seeking. Again, if I'm annoying, if I whine a lot, somebody comes around and they comfort me. And it gets any kind of a reaction. Even if it's a negative reaction, we react to it. Okay, so these are all ways in which that junk behavior pays off. Okay, and I mentioned this before, but our response to junk behavior often creates a worsening for that person, and they end up demonstrating more serious behavior. That crisis cycle goes up. Okay, and so we've got to minimize the times in which we react to that junk behavior, because it's going to minimize crises. Okay. So the pivot tool, we don't have a lot of time to spend on this slide, but so I'm going to really go over this pretty quickly. But please come back to our other trainings where we really delve into this wonderful tool. So the pivot tool is our way not to react to that junk behavior. It's not ignoring. This is a very active tool. Okay. So one of the things that we're going to do, first of all, is we're not going to say anything about that junk behavior. We're not going to react in any way by our facial expressions, our body language, our tone of voice. So we're not going to say, Corey, you need to stop cursing, or Melissa, you need to stop complaining. I'm tired of your complaining. We're not going to say any of that. We're going to act like that junk behavior is not even happening. How are we going to do it? We have three options that we can think about. One is we can pivot onto another person. And pivot, think of pivot like a basketball. You know, like, I don't know if you guys are into basketball, but we're pivoting away from the person. We're still in the same room. We're still near the person, but we're not maybe facing them. We're pivoting on to something else. So another person would be, let's say Melissa walks in the room and I'm pivoting away from the person that's demonstrating that whining behavior, and I'm pivoting on and I say, hey, Melissa, how was your day? You look pretty excited. What's going on? Okay. I notice over here that this person, I'm just going to name this person Johnny. Johnny was washing the dishes, but he started whining. The whining stopped. Within about 10 seconds, I'm going to pivot back to Johnny and I'm going to say, hey, Johnny, look at those dishes. My goodness, they look so clean. Boy, those responsible actions are really paying off. Okay. So I'm not reacting to his junk behavior with my tone of voice, body language. I'm not saying anything about it. When that junk stops or becomes more minimal, my attention goes back to him and I just start talking to him about what he's doing. He's doing the dishes. I'm recognizing that desired behavior. I'm not focusing on the junk. Let's try another way. Pivot onto an activity. I'm helping Johnny with those dishes. He's cleaning or he's washing them. I'm putting them away. Johnny's doing the dishes. We're having a great conversation, but boy, that whining starts again. And so I'm going to pivot onto my activity. I'm not facing him. I'm minimizing my conversation with him. And what I'm doing is I'm focusing on my activity of putting those dishes up. I'm just going to start coming over here, putting the dishes up while the junk is going on. When the junk becomes more minimal, within about 10 seconds, the 10 seconds is so I'm not reacting to the junk. I'm paying attention to the desired behaviors. That's why we wait about 10 seconds. So when that junk stops, I'm pivoting back and I can continue to talk to him about whatever it was we were talking about before that junk happened. Okay. So I'm not saying anything about the junk. I might just say again, hey, Johnny, man, I tell you what, those dishes are looking amazing. You're doing such an amazing job taking care of your home. Those are such responsible actions. And it's really going to help you in your efforts of becoming more independent. Way to go. Okay. Pivot on the person. This is where I don't have to wait 10 seconds. So I'm pivoting on Johnny. Johnny is doing the dishes. He's, you know, kind of whining. I'm not going to say anything about the junk. I'm just going to act like that whining's not even happening. I'm just going to keep talking to him about what we were talking about before the whining happened. So we were talking about him going to the mall. So Johnny, tell me a little bit more about the mall. What are you wanting to buy at the mall today? You know, he may be saying something about, I can't stand that my friend can't go to the mall with me. I'm so upset or whatever. It's so stupid. You know, so so what did you say you're going to get at the mall today? What are you looking for? You know, so I'm not responding to the whininess. I'm not ignoring the behavior. I'm not ignoring Johnny, or I'm not ignoring Johnny. I'm pivoting from the junk. I'm focusing on the desired behavior. Okay, that I want Johnny to do in the future that's going to improve his quality of life and others. So that's the pivot tool in a nutshell. I know I went through it really fast because of time, but pivot is a wonderful tool. It's a tool that requires a lot of practice and a lot of understanding of what our pet peeves are, how we typically react to those. So making a plan to use the pivot tool will help us become more successful at minimizing our reaction to people's junk behavior. Okay? All right. So why not just ignore junk behavior? Anybody have any ideas? If I ignore Johnny when he's whining and I just walk away, I just leave the room. boy, that can really affect my relationship with Johnny. He feels ignored. He feels I don't care. He feels like, yeah, he'll do it again for attention. It will keep going, right? It can be a reinforcing reaction, and it can create a behavior burst, which it can create more of that behavior from happening. And it's going to affect my relationship with Johnny. Okay. I'm not going to be that person he goes to. He's going to look at me as someone that he can't depend on. I'm unkind. I'm uncaring. I don't care what his feelings are or his thoughts are, you know? So that's the problems with ignoring. The advantages of pivot is we're trying to increase desirable or just okay behaviors of the person. We're not paying attention anymore to that junk behavior that really gets under our skin. Instead, we're focusing on building that relationship. We're focusing on that desired behavior. Johnny was doing the dishes. That's my focus, not the whining. He was demonstrating responsible actions, which is going to help him in his life of becoming more independent and less reliant on me as a parent or as a staff member. That's what my concentration is, not the junk. Okay. So pivot works, but it takes time and effort on everyone's end. Okay. So let's do a little bit of a practice here. We've got annoying Addie. Oh my goodness. Addie is picking her nose. That's another one of my pet peeves. All right. She's telling you about this cool package she just got in the mail, and you're in the middle of typing. Okay. So what would you do if you're typing? I'm typing right now. And annoying Addie, she starts to pick her nose. Give me some ideas. What are you going to do? Anybody? Show me what you got. Okay. All right. So you're pivoting on the person. I would pivot to what she got in the mail. Okay. The pivot on the activity is the activity that you're doing, not the activity that Addie is doing or has. Okay. So that's kind of redirection, but talk about typing. Okay. All right. Okay. Those are all some good ones. So I'm typing, and if I'm pivoting onto my activity, it's typing. Okay. So when she's picking her nose, I'm going to continue typing. Okay. When she stops picking her nose, I'm going to stop typing. And what am I going to focus on? What am I going to focus on when I put my attention back to Addie? What do you guys think? The package? Yes, very good. I'm going to focus on, hey, Addie, what did you get in the mail? Man, yes, how's she feeling? Looks like, oh, Addie, man, you look excited. What did you get in the mail today? Okay, so that's my focus is on why is Addie, she seems excited. She got something cool in the mail. So that's my focus. It's not on the picking of the nose. Okay. Now, later during calm times, during teachable moments, we may practice, using Kleenexes and things, but not here. Right now, I want my focus is on to not get into that junk behavior. Oh, Addie, why are you picking your nose? That's disgusting. Because that's not going to help anything. It's going to make her feel bad. She's got this beautiful package. I want to continue to focus on that. Okay. So you guys did great on that. Okay. Outburst Ollie. At the table, Oliver and Sally are working on a project. Oliver is muttering things like, "This is so stupid. I'm going to tear this up." Sally's working while humming her favorite song. So I'm going to pivot onto another person here, right? Who am I going to? So Outburst Ollie, she's kind of, "This is so stupid. I'm tearing things up." Who would I pivot to? Who am I going to pivot to for about 10 seconds? Sally. Yes, yes, absolutely, guys. Sally's working while humming. She's working. Sally, what are you working on? Man, you look like you're really working hard over here. Okay. Looks like you're enjoying yourself. What are you doing over there? Very good. When am I going to pivot back? When am I pivoting back within 10 seconds to Ollie? And what am I going to say to Ollie? Ten seconds after he stops the junk. Very good, Melissa. Absolutely. So when that junk stops or becomes more minimal, I'm going to pivot back. Ollie, wow, man, you look like you're working so hard on your project over here. That's amazing. So tell me, what are you working on today? Okay. What's going on? Very good. Very good. Did I say anything about the whining? Nothing. I focused on the desired behavior that I want to see more of out of Ollie, and I'm not paying attention to the junk. Okay. That's the pivot tool. Now we're moving on to stay close hot. Stay close hot, guys, is when there's a worsening. Someone has had a worsening in their life. You know, it could be that they've experienced a sad situation. Maybe their pet passed away, or maybe they're frustrated because they didn't get that A on that test, or maybe they're so angry right now. They're angry at their housemate. So a worsening has occurred. And so this is the time in which we really need to make sure that we are in control of our emotions, our feelings, and that we're focused on helping that person through that difficult moment in time. Okay. And we're going to be non-judgmental. We're going to be caring and kind. We're going to put on our listening ears, okay, and help that person through that situation. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to try very hard not to react to the junk behavior with coercion. Because in stay close hot situations, a lot of times we see that junk. We see that cursing. We see the yelling. We see the stomping of the feet, or we see some sort of a junk reaction because it's typical for that person. It's a learned behavior response. They've been doing it a lot. It's gotten a lot of attention, a lot of reaction. So here's our time to change the environment, change the focus. We're not going to react. We're going to remain calm, caring, and concerned. Okay. The part in bold these are the things that might look a little different from the stay close tools that we talked about before earlier. Usually move to the person and remain within arm's reach. This is where it's changed. If somebody is sad, they just lost their pet, and you have a good relationship with that person, remember contacts, then moving in can be quite wonderful, you know, and remaining within arm's length. Okay. But if somebody is angry and you don't have that relationship built, then moving in may need to occur after they kind of calm down a little bit. Okay. Because you got to know their history and what they typically do when they're angry. Also, sometimes I ask, Johnny, you seem upset. Would you mind if I move towards you so we can talk about it? So asking permission can also be highly effective. Touch is another one that might change somewhat. If somebody is sad, touch is very appropriate. If you have that relationship, putting your hand on their shoulder, or on their back, a slight touch can be quite comforting. All right. But if you try and touch somebody that's highly angry, that might cause a negative reaction, especially if you don't have that relationship built. Okay. So touch may occur after the person has calmed down and feels a little bit better about their situation. Open-ended questions. We call this OEE, and these three areas are crucial here. So throughout a stay close moment with somebody, we're going to go back and forth it depends on the situation and how long it takes that person to feel better about their situation. But, asking the person, hey, what's going on? You seem sad. You want to talk about it? Okay. Wow, man, Sally, you seem really angry. What happened? Okay. So you look, are ways in which we are looking at and we're using our empathy statements. Okay. We're not agreeing or disagreeing with the person on how they're reacting. We're focusing on trying to connect to their emotion, trying to understand their viewpoint, trying to understand what difficult situation that they're going through, and helping them find a way to feel better about it. Okay. So listen, talk less than the person. Remember that one. And we're not there to solve, we're not there to fix. We're just there to be present, to be in the moment with that person. Okay. Interrupting people can be very upsetting, or trying to fix something. Encouragement, I already mentioned empathy, but encouragement statements are, sometimes it's just that, you know what? I know it's not easy opening up and sharing. I just appreciate you coming to me today and sharing your feelings. Maybe in the past, that person, it was hard for them to open up and they often shut down and they often resulted in physical aggression. But today they came to you, they opened up, they're sharing their feelings. That's not easy. And you want that behavior to happen in the future. Or, you know what? You've gone through some difficult moments in the past before, but you've managed to get through them. And I believe you can today too. Just last week, you had that difficult moment with your housemate, but you got through it. You can do it again. You've got this, buddy. Okay. You're going to stay here until you start to see that person start to kind of feel a little bit better. They're starting to calm down. You're starting to see maybe they were screaming, their voice level is calmer, their body language seems to be more relaxed. Okay. That's when you know the person's ready for the next step. That's when you're going to direct to an alternative behavior or a calming situation. And these are things that we have to teach. If you say, Johnny, last week you stated deep breathing was helpful. You want to try that today? You got to, at some point in the, work with Johnny on how to deep breathe, how to use those coping skills, so those things take practice and modeling and teaching. Okay. You just can't say deep breathe. All right. So kind of keep an eye on that one a little bit as well. Or it could be, last week you shared that sometimes it's helpful just to go outside and get some fresh air. Want to try that today? Reinforce the desired behavior. I know it's not easy talking about your feelings, but you're doing a great job. Thank you for that. I appreciate the effort. Okay. Reinforcing that desired behavior that you're now seeing is very, very important. So again, I know we went over these pretty quickly, but they're very, very important. And oftentimes when you lower your voice, if somebody's screaming at you guys, that automatically puts that calmness in the environment and people start to react and they will start to calm themselves. Okay. So always look at your own body language, your own facial expressions, and how you're reacting, and try not to take these things personally. So again, empathy is being able to take the perspective of another and communicate that to the other person. All right. So it shows genuine caring and concern. You're being present, you're asking open-ended questions, and you seem frustrated. Tell me more. Okay. That non-judgmental attitude is very important. Okay, so let's practice. Sam got a call. It's a sad one. He just had an argument with his roommate. And she frequently lays in bed for hours crying when she's upset. She's in bed crying and texts you about the fight and says, I'm so over this. I'm not going to take this crap anymore. Okay, so Sam is upset. She just had a bad phone call with her housemate. What empathy, open-ended question, encouragement statement can you give to Sam during this hard time? What do you guys think? You sound upset. Do you want to talk or go for a walk? Okay. Do you want to talk about it? Can you tell me what was upsetting? Okay. Yeah. Can you tell me what's upsetting you? All right. You seem upset. What happened, Sam? Okay. Those are good open-ended questions in empathy. What happened? You sound sad and upset. I love that. What happened, Sam? You sound upset. Those are amazing. You guys are getting this so well. Okay. What about encouragement? We want Sam. What do we want to encourage Sam to do? What is an encouragement statement that we can use with him? With what do you guys think? Anybody? These are hard, I know. You know, Sam, you and your housemate, you've been through some. Okay, tell Sam that reaching out for help is excellent. Excellent. I love that. It's not easy to reach out for help, but you did a great job calling me and talking about your feelings. That's not easy to do, but you're doing it. Way to go. Awesome. I love that, Melissa. Okay. You know, you and your housemate have had some tough times in the past, but you managed to get through them. I know you're very upset. Do you want to talk more? Okay. Do you want to talk more? All right. Um, so, so one thing to always think about um, the behavior that they're demonstrating now or that they demonstrated in the past, that you want that behavior to continue in the future, right? Okay. You and your housemate have gone through some tough times in the past, but you got through them. And I believe you can again today. You got this. You got this, girl. You can get through this. Okay. You know, they've done it before. Sam's done it before. She's managed to pick up the pieces and move forward. Um, so you know, that encouragement, that continuing, and I always, the one I are stated before, I use quite a bit. Sharing your feelings isn't easy for a lot of folks. So picking up that phone, calling and sharing your feelings, you want that to continue, right? You want that behavior to continue. So that's an encouragement statement. So you guys did really well here. Single Steve. Steve is sitting in a chair with his head in his hands. When you say, "You look down, Steve, what's up?" You learn he just got, oh my goodness, he got dumped after a 2-year relationship. What in the world can we do to help Steve? What's an open-ended question in an empathy statement? Anyone? Hello, Steve, what's going on? That sounds devastating. Okay, yeah. Um, Steve, you look upset. What's going on? Can you tell me more? Okay. Can you um, can you tell me what happened? All right. What about an empathy state or an encouragement statement? How can we encourage Steve? What do you guys think? This one's hard. You look down, Steve. What's up? So we already said, man, you look upset, Steve. What's happened? Okay. He was just dumped after a 2-year relationship. Man, this must be very difficult. I get it. This must be very hard. But talking about your feelings and opening up and sharing, um, you know, that I just want, you know, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your feelings with me right now. And thank you for talking about it. It's not easy to do, but you're doing a great job opening up and sharing how you're doing. Okay. I appreciate that. Okay. You've gone through a lot in the last few weeks. You know, you've had some setbacks, but you've managed to get through them each and every time. And I believe you can get through this as well. It's not going to be easy, but you got this, buddy. You can get through this as well. What did you say, Melissa? Can you repeat that? I didn't see it. Melissa had something, but I didn't see it come up. I'm so sorry to hear that. Let's grab dinner after work. Okay. That can be kind of trying to move forward. You're telling me, and thank you for your expressing. Yes. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for expressing your feelings, validating the feeling and point out the positives. Okay. Remember, we're not trying to fix things. Okay. We're just trying to encourage the desired behavior that they're doing right now or they've experienced in the past to continue in the future. Okay. So sharing his feelings is a desired behavior we want him to continue, right? Sharing his emotions, coming to us when it's not easy to do, and opening up, sharing how he's feeling with another person that he trusts and he relies on. Also, letting him know it's not easy. You've had some hard times in the past, but you've gotten through them. It's not going to be easy, but you can get through this as well. Okay. You're not fixing anything. You're just encouraging that continuation of talking and understanding those rough times he's gotten through in the past. And you know he can do it again. He's done it before. Okay. So those are hard. It's easier to use encouragement and empathy during those good, wonderful moments in people's lives, but it's harder when they're struggling, when they're sad, they're frustrated. So that takes a little bit more practice. And so I encourage you all just to continue to practice and come to other tools trainings that we have offered to learn more and to be able to practice those skills. This right here are 10 common coercive podcasts, that we talked about earlier, but the podcast is amazing. It goes into them much more in depth and helps you better understand why they do have a negative effect on our relationship with people, much more than I was able to do today. So I encourage you to check this out, get your cell phones out and take a picture, and it will take you to that podcast. And attend Tools of Choice course. It's a wonderful course. And the thing about Tools of Choice that we're not able to do today as much is the practicing, the hands-on activities, much more in detail, and the role plays to help us better understand how to use those empathy and encouragement statements. We also have family coaching workshops available for our family members that may need to attend some night classes instead of daytime classes. So these are also wonderful opportunities for our family members. And that is it. We are about 5 minutes away from our scheduled time. So I thank you all for being with us today. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. You were very interactive. You participated a great deal. So we loved having you, and we'd love for you to return again in the future for future classes. So take care. Have a wonderful day, and hopefully we'll see you all soon.